Let's be real. U-turns are the kryptonite of beginner riders. You see that narrow street or tight parking lot, and your palms start sweating. Your clutch hand starts twitching. You imagine the stall, the wobble, the dreaded foot down, or worse, the slow motion tip over. But here's the thing. Pros handle U-turns without even thinking about it. I'm Matthew from Autozium, and today I'm going to break down why U-turns feel so hard when you're starting out, and how the pros make them look like second nature. Let's get you there. Step 1. They trust the friction zone. If low-speed riding feels jerky or unpredictable, there's a 99% chance you're not fully using your friction zone. This is the zone where your clutch is partially engaged, just enough to connect engine power to the rear wheel, but not fully locked in. And for tight maneuvers like U-turns, it's your ultimate tool for control. Pros live in this zone. They know the key isn't raw throttle, it's modulation. They keep the revs slightly elevated, usually around 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, and feather the clutch to control exactly how much power gets to the wheel. It's not a flick. It's not on-off. It's a dance, subtle, smooth, and deliberate. And here's the trick. They don't just rely on the throttle to speed up or slow down. They use the clutch to dial in the momentum. Let it out a hair, the bike moves. Pull it in slightly, the bike slows, all without killing the engine or lurching forward. If you're choppy, stalling, or wobbling through U-turns, it's probably because you're letting the clutch out too fast or fully releasing it too early. That dumps all the power at once, and at low speeds, that's a recipe for disaster. Want to get smoother instantly? Go find a parking lot. Put the bike in first. Pick a low-speed loop. And spend 10 minutes just playing in the friction zone. No full clutch release. Just control. Feel where the bite is. Find where the engine starts to tug forward. Learn to live right there. Because once the friction zone becomes second nature, U-turns stop feeling like tightrope acts and start feeling like something you're in control of. Step 2. They use the rear brake like a pro tool. Here's something new riders rarely hear. The rear brake is your best friend during a slow-speed U-turn. Why? Because at low speeds, the front brake is way too aggressive. Tap it, and the bike can dive, lurch, or even tip. But the rear brake? That's where the magic happens. It keeps the bike settled, balanced, and moving smoothly, even in tight circles. Pros use light, consistent pressure on the rear brake, just enough to drag it slightly. That drag creates a stabilizing force that calms down all the little wobbles and inconsistencies. It also compresses the rear suspension slightly, giving the bike a more planted, controlled feel. Here's the combo that makes U-turns buttery smooth. Clutch in the friction zone. Throttle steady at slightly elevated RPMs. Rear brake lightly dragging. That's your holy trinity of low-speed mastery. If you've been skipping the rear brake or only using it in a panic, this step will change your world. Next time you're in a parking lot, set up a cone or even just mark a tight loop. Then go slow, really slow. Work the clutch and gently apply the rear brake as you turn. You'll feel it almost immediately. The bike becomes more obedient. It stops fighting you. You're suddenly in control, not reacting to the bike's behavior, but guiding it through the maneuver. And here's the secret sauce. This technique doesn't just make U-turns better. It makes all your low-speed control tighter. Filtering through traffic, navigating tight parking garages, making hairpin turns on a trail. Master the rear brake, and you don't just ride, you glide. Step 3. They keep their eyes up and head turned. This might sound simple, but it's easily one of the biggest things separating nervous riders from confident ones when it comes to U-turns. Pros always look where they want to go. Not at their front wheel, not at the curb, and definitely not at the ground. Here's the harsh truth. If you're staring at the ground 2 feet in front of your bike, that's exactly where you're going to end up. Your body, and by extension your bike, follows your head. It's a natural reflex. You look left, your shoulders follow. You look right, your hips shift. And on a motorcycle, that means the bike starts turning in that direction before you even consciously tell it to. So in a U-turn, you've got to commit. Don't just glance over your shoulder. Whip your head around and lock your vision on where you want to end up. down the road, across the lane, out of the turn. Imagine there's a magnet pulling your helmet toward the destination. That exaggerated head turn sends a message to your whole body. We're going this way. Your arms loosen up, your inputs smooth out, your balance centers. And suddenly, the U turn feels less like a balancing act and more like a natural arc. And here's a pro tip: don't just practice this on the bike, practice off it. Stand up, pick a spot behind you. Now, slowly turn your head, only your head, and lock eyes on that spot. Feel how your whole torso wants to follow. That's what we're harnessing on the bike, because once you get used to leading with your vision, the bike will follow every single time. Step 4, they trust the lean. All right, this one's big, and it's where most new riders psych themselves out. You've seen it before. Someone's in the middle of a U turn, and the bike starts to lean. Not dramatically, not dangerously, just doing what bikes are supposed to do in a turn. But instead of leaning with it, they panic. They sit up, chop the throttle, maybe even tap the front brake, and boom, down they go. Here's the deal: bikes are built to lean. The geometry, the tires, the balance, it all works best when the bike is allowed to settle into the curve. And in slow speed U turns, that lean might feel steeper than you're used to. But it's necessary. If you try to stay upright and fight it, you're going to run wide, stand the bike up mid turn, or worse, dump it. Confident riders don't resist the lean, they embrace it. They stay relaxed, let the handlebars turn naturally, and allow the bike to arc into the U turn like it was designed to. You've got to make peace with that feeling of falling, because it's not actually falling, it's carving, it's momentum. It's the bike working for you, not against you. Want a cheat code? Practice tight figure eights in a parking lot. Push the bars and let the lean happen. Trust it. Over time, your brain will stop interpreting that lean angle as danger and start seeing it as control. Because once you realize the bike isn't trying to throw you off, it's trying to carry you through, your entire approach changes. Step 5, they practice more than you think. Want to know the difference between a pro and a beginner? It's not just miles, it's practice miles. Sure, experience matters, but deliberate practice? That's what builds the kind of control that makes tight maneuvers look effortless. Pros aren't just riding twisties on weekends and calling it a day. They're hitting parking lots. They're carving figure eights. They're practicing U turns in cramped spaces over and over again. And not because someone's making them, not because they're prepping for a license test. They do it because they want to be prepared for that dead end street, that tight gas station exit, or that awkward moment in front of a crowd of riders. They know confidence at low speeds doesn't come from hoping, it comes from muscle memory. So they carve out time. Even just 15 minutes after a ride, just them, a few cones, maybe some chalk lines, and they go to work. It's sweaty, sometimes frustrating, sometimes boring, but every rep makes a difference. You know why their U turns look so smooth? Because they've done them 100 times more than you have. It's not magic, it's repetition. It's choosing to sharpen that skill until it becomes automatic. And here's the beautiful part: you don't need a racetrack, you don't need a special bike. All you need is a quiet lot and the will to show up. Practice like the pros do, and eventually, you ride like one. The street is where you use your skills. The parking lot, that's where you build them. So next time you finish a ride, don't just pack up and head home. Circle the lot, nail a few turns, get better every time. That's how confidence is built, one deliberate rep at a time. Now, here's the real truth: no one is born good at U turns. Every confident rider you've ever seen doing perfect, feet up, full lock U turns in tight spaces, they all started the same way: wobbly, nervous, and unsure. The difference? They practiced over and over. They went to parking lots, they dropped their bikes, they kept coming back, and they didn't rely on luck or talent. They built muscle memory using these techniques: counterweighting, clutch control, trusting the lean, rear brake finesse, and looking through the turn. So if you're struggling right now, good. That means you're trying. You're pushing your comfort zone, and every foot you shave off your turn radius is a badge of progress. Don't compare yourself to the pros. Compare yourself to the rider you were last week. Every U turn you attempt brings you one rep closer to riding like it's second nature. And when it clicks, when you pull off a tight U turn, smooth as butter in front of a group of riders, you'll feel like a damn superhero. So keep showing up, keep practicing, because the difference between nervous and confident isn't personality, it's reps. I'm Matthew from Autozium. Ride smart, practice slow, and don't be afraid to drop it in a parking lot. That's where pros are born. See you out there.